Hello and welcome to Winning at the Game of Life, Real Strategies, Real Results. I'm your host, Kate Crow, and today we are talking with Tina Mendelsig. Tina is a spiritual life coach, and I'm really looking forward to speaking to her. She hails from Sicily and brings forth so much knowledge. So hello and welcome, Tina.
Hi, Kate. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's so good. So, yeah, we're talking about winning at the game of life. And my first question is, how do you define that? How do you define winning and success?
Exactly. So for me personally, winning the game of life is, when I'm able to go through life with a balance in my mind, no matter what is happening around me, when I experience, like equanimity, that's not indifference, but that my inner state of well-being does not depend always on external circumstances, on other people's behavior, So this is for me winning. If I really, if I feel I'm in power of how I feel, because it depends how people define winning the game of life. For example, maybe if you grew up in a Western country, you believe that making $1 million, having a great, huge home, having power over others, that's winning. But maybe if you grow up, you're born in a different part of the life, finding something to eat every single day means winning the game of life. Or if you come out of a really bad accident or a bad injury, then waking up every morning without pain is winning the game of life, right? So see, that is the proof that it is in our own power, how we define winning the game of life, like we can believe whatever we want. And our belief about what winning means shapes our emotions, right? And how we experience life. So we don't have to simply follow like sheep a general idea that is created in a society, in a community, in a country, on social media, because this is what's happening, right? Like we are programmed that winning means making money and I mean, look where this brought us, everybody is anxious, is stressed, is like depressed. Obviously this idea, this belief didn't get us anywhere close to, a happy life, right?
Yeah.
So for me, happiness or not happiness, winning the game of life means when I can win over my own mind and I have the power and can take responsibility for what's going on inside of me, because then I decide how I experience everything that's going on around and outside of me, right?
And I think that's such a great point of view. I agree 100% that when we are able to sort of win over our own minds, and that distinction that, that chatter that oftentimes has us comparing ourselves to others and wondering, is my plate as full as yours, kind of thing. And, I also really agree that we're in the middle of a big change and what that definition is. And that for the last, I don't know how many, decades have been really dominated by this idea of, it's really, actually, I was listening to something on the radio, but like this idea, they said it began after World War II of really the emphasis on materialism and getting ahead and as if, if my kitchen was bigger than your kitchen, that meant something. And I think what we are collectively experiencing over the world, not just in, America, but everywhere, is a collective exhaustion around and a questioning of what does that mean, which is, it's interesting. Somebody was talking about, well, winning feels like a very masculine word. And is that really what we're talking, and it's, for me, the reason I chose that for this was precisely to have this conversation around, well, what does it mean? Because I do see, you gave it such a great example, Tina, of like, some people just might waking up pain-free feels like winning. Having having food to eat, like versus the collection of, people liking you on Instagram or whatever it is.
Exactly.
So I think it is 100% individually defined. And when we're able to like control that definition in our minds, and as you said, keep a good balance on our inner conversation with the outer is brilliant.
Yeah. I think, a lot of people are waking up, and waking up means you're waking up to your true potential. You remember how that you are like an intelligent being, right? And you start using your innate intelligence to question life, right? And this is what a lot of people, like for how many years, we all followed. And that what you said, it started with the Industrial Revolution, right? When people, started to behave like sheep, yeah, right? We all follow the same idea until now we've reached total exhaustion, and our planet as well, right? So now a lot of us, we are forced to wake up, because if we don't wake up now, we kill ourselves, we kill our planet, right? We destroy each other and ourselves. So waking up means that you start to question yourself, saying like, does a big kitchen really make me happier? Does a huge car really make me a better person? Does, like having a private jet really changes my life? So people start questioning things. But to be able to tap into that innate intelligence, you have to bring your whole being, your whole human being onto a higher frequency. See, and what happened to a lot of people is we don't eat right. We don't live in tune with nature, right? We don't sleep. Our sleeping patterns are not according to nature, right? Everything evolves around careers, right? And appointments and business to make more money, to buy all the things we don't need. So we don't eat the right food, right? We eat processed food. We don't breathe right because we're always stressed, right? We watch all this wrong and strange information on social media, right? We don't feed our brains with like, the old scriptures or wisdom, right? We don't move enough. We don't get enough fresh air. We don't get enough sunshine. We don't get, now with the pandemic, we don't even get enough, human contacts, right? We don't hug each other anymore. So how, we are going completely against our nature. And this leads, that you're talking about the game of life. So now see our body and our mind as our game character, right? The role we are playing. Now, if we treat our game character like this, we vibrate on a very low frequency. And when we vibrate on a very low frequency, we can't win the game of life, and we can't tap into this intelligence, that is us. And this is what I basically do, with my clients. And I'm also launching a course next year, it's called Inner Revolution, to really enhance your being on every level, like physically. You have to enhance your physical body, right? To be able to understand what life is about and what brings you a sensation of winning, not what others tell you, what should bring you a sensation of winning, right? So you have to do exercise. For example, me, I do yoga exercises, right? But maybe for you, it's running. It doesn't matter. Exercise, use your body, right? And then eat right, eat healthy food and not too much food. And then you have to take care of your energetic body, like do energetic hygiene and breathing to make your energy flow so you can really vibrate and make this human being really function perfectly in this world. And we can do also some practices if there is time. Then also on a mind level, feed the right stuff into your mind. Make sure you determine what you put into your mind, right? You have a computer, you decide which program you run on your computer, right? So make sure you decide what's running in your mind. Don't let others, don't let media, don't let societies, don't let politicians decide what's running in your mind. Question it. Make sure you put good stuff into your mind, right? And I'm also sending you a gift to create a pleasant atmosphere in your mind, because that's important. Whatever is in your mind, it works like as a filter through which you experience the world. See, if you feed your mind only with fear and suspicion and, you know, and like comparison and jealousy and envy, this is how you see life, and this is how you see and experience others. So we have to make sure to create a happy, a pleasant atmosphere in our mind. And spiritually, right? We have to feed our soul with prayer, with mantra, with, you know, selfless service, volunteering, helping others, going beyond our egoistical needs. That's a feeling of winning if you can contribute to the world, right? Somehow. And meditation. So meditation is a big deal because meditation allows you to sit back and simply observe what's going on. And when you observe what's going on, then you can also start to make an inventory and remove the stuff that does not serve you anymore and that blocks you from winning, that holds you back. So this is what I teach, you know, like to make sure you enhance your human being on all levels, because then you raise your frequency, you change the perception of life, and this is how you get like the fastest car, you know, like the best human instrument, and this is how you win life.
Yeah, I think it, and what I really hear is that we're able to, we have a lot more impact on ourselves, but we oftentimes give that away. Mm-hmm. Whether it's to, like you said, like, are you being complacent and not understanding that how the energetic levels that we can raise ourselves up. I love that you've outlined them. You know, it's exercise, mm-hmm. using your body and getting in your body, yeah, eating right, sleeping well, meditation. I think understanding that our bodies are these tools that talk to us, and really want to circle for our listeners what you said about the filter by which we start to look at life. And if we're if we're listening to a lot of fear and we're in that space, yes, that is the way we're going to experience life. So, mm-hmm. I think what I'm seeing for myself is like, the more I go towards connecting with people on just that desire to connect, mm-hmm. and if this is outside of politics, this is just really human to human. And how can I be in that space? Because there is a common language. You and I were talking about that through the ages of time, the scriptures have said it, sages have said it, current sages are saying that there is an emphasis on this frequency that you're talking about that starts mm-hmm. in our body, that is positive and connected, mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. and allows us to connect to others in a positive way. And I believe 100% with you that this is necessary not only for the well-being of our planet, but just the micro is the macro here, So.
I think it's important to understand, that that you are not, your mind and your body. We are energy, and this is why we can feel each other. This is why we can connect on a higher level than the human mind, right? You know how it is. Like, sometimes you just think about someone and then exactly this person is going to call you, right? So we are, not. See, I like this expression, the game of life, because then it makes every explanation so simple. So if it's a game of life, and then this body and the human mind is our game character, right? This is the role we are playing. And if we understand that we are an energy, right? A vibration, a consciousness, a soul, whatever you want to call it, making a human experience in this game of life, right? And we were lucky. We didn't get like a tree character to play or a dog character to play. We are allowed to play a human character, right? So we get all these great instruments. But this thing is, nobody really teaches us how to use our instruments, like how to use our mind. And this is where we all get screwed up, right? So this is why it's so important, that there are a lot of people out there who teach you exactly how the mind works, right? And then, if you see the game of life as one dimension, right, where everything happens. See, and in this game of life, where we are coming into to play our role, to manifest as a human being, in this game of life, everything is constantly changing, right? So even if you win today, you can't keep this winning up. Eventually you will lose, because this is how this game of life is designed. I mean, if you can't deal with this, you have to complain, to the creator. I don't know. But this is how nature is designed. You can't keep it's duality, right? So you can't always maintain a feeling of winning. And this is why, like when you meditate, for example, and you observe this duality in your own body, in your own mind, and you feel that this human being is just part of nature, part of this game. But you, the witness, who is observing all these changes, you're unchanging. And if you figure that out, if you can experience that you are the unchanging energy that is simply existing as a human being in this game of life, where everything changes magically in every single moment, where sometimes you win, the next 5 minutes you lose, then you win again. And it's just a game. And you're just the witness. Then you really win life. Then you really win the game. Because then you are not personally involved, you're not compulsively reacting to every win, to every loss, to every thought, to every emotion, right? You simply are. You simply observe, and life becomes fun because you really see it as a game. So everything around you changes, and it's impossible. It's unnecessary to try to maintain this winning level. To stay on it. It's not possible. That's how life is designed, right? And you step back and you know that you are not from this dimension. You are coming from an energetic dimension, conscious dimension, where there is no up and down, good and bad, birth and death, winning and losing. There's just that. You can call it bliss, you can call it peace, you can call it balance, right? And this is how, when you really raise your frequency through working on your body, on your mind, on your spirit, and then meditate, and you observe all this, when you realize who you truly are, this is when you win life.
Yeah, and to just highlight what you just said, I think it's brilliant that primarily what I hear you saying, Tina, is acting from a place of that you are an energy, and that we do not, and stop this play. My late partner used to say, it always comes down to acceptance and surrender. And I think I 100% agree with that. Like, it is accepting life on life's terms and turning it over, and understanding like what's the next best choice that you can make given the circumstances that you find yourself in. That sometimes is just as we go through that human experience of accepting, I'm a little disappointed here. What's the next right action that I can take for myself in terms of just keeping myself, as you said, we know balance doesn't truly exist, but you began it, but it's such a great description of like, but how can I be that highest version of myself? And can we do it all the time? No. Do we fall and stumble? Yes. Why? Because we're human.
Yeah.
But I think being able to understand we are energetic beings in this human body, our human experiences are portals to our spiritual growth. And the more we see that we can, if we accept life on its terms, even when it's hard, and I'm sure I certainly have had many experiences where I really wish that, I wasn't going through what I was going through, but that the other side of it is I can see the logic of it. And sometimes it really takes that blind faith, but also that willingness to show up as the best version of yourself. As much as you can.
Exactly.
Does that sum up what you think you're saying there?
Yeah. Well, so the thing is, when you simply accept that life just happens, then things change, right? Life doesn't happen to you.
Life is for you.
It doesn't happen because of you. If you exist or if you don't exist, your ego will hate this, but it really doesn't make a change. We come here, like every fly comes here, like every mushroom pops up and then dies, like this is how important we are, like, and life just happens with us or without us. So this is already something, like when you can deal with that reality, you don't stress yourself so much, right? Because it doesn't really depend on you, like what's happening in life. And then if you don't take life so personal, when you stop thinking like, oh my God, why does this happen to me? Oh my God, why does everyone else, like making millions and I don't? Why does everyone else, like is so pretty and I'm not? And when you stop asking why, this is when you allow life to flow, because this question that our mind is constantly asking, why I'm not winning, why I'm always losing, that means you're resisting life, right? You're not agreeing with life. You pretend, your little human mind really pretends to know everything better than life, And this makes us so arrogant and so ignorant, right? And this is what creates always a fight, within ourselves, with others, and with life itself. So if you can just accept that life just happens and life knows exactly what it's doing, so just trust it. This is faith. Faith is blind. You don't need to intellectually understand it, because it's impossible to understand why little kids get sick, or why drama and suffering is happening, right? You can't understand this intellectually. So you really have to have faith that life knows exactly what it's doing. And this is the only way to find peace.
Yeah.
And then if you really want to go like where I'm coming from, like spiritual background, it's really like, it's all about remembering who you truly are, because you are balanced, right? You are not the mind. You are not the emotions. You are not the struggle. And when you meditate, when you start a meditating practice, this is what you understand, what you experience, because you simply sit and you observe your thoughts. So if those are your thoughts and your ideas about what's winning and what's losing and what, right? Then who are you?
Yeah.
Right? And when you keep asking that yourself, then you create a distance to what is happening in your mind, all the thoughts and emotions and disappointments and stress and anxieties and fears, and yourself. Because you look at everything from a distance. And if you look at everything from a distance, it becomes, so less serious. If you look at the world from outer space, it looks beautiful, right? You don't see all the wars and the sufferings going on, right? It just looks like a peaceful little beautiful planet, right? Because you're far away. So when you create this distance between you, the spirit, the soul, the energy, and the mind, with all this chatter and the problems and the wants and the beliefs and the resistance, blah, slowly you find peace in that space. And as further you get away with these wrong ideas about life and what's important in life and what winning means and what losing means, as further you go away, as easier you can take it, right?
Yeah. It's I think that, so you're that point of creating the strategy that, to tie it into what we're talking about, the strategy that I hear you saying is like, actually create that space through if you're going to attach to anything, attach to the idea that everything is like, one, that you just said, like life just happens. It's going to keep happening and we don't have control about that. So accept that. And to move from a space of get some distance in your experience. So if you're in the fight with one of your lover, like try to get like, okay, let's just call it what it is. When I'm coaching somebody, I'm like, name it, all right, here's what's happening. Okay. Because that just stops it. And then you can sort of go up a little bit. But I think you're absolutely telescoping as far up as you can to start to see like how best do I play this? If
exactly.
really want to keep, if you prioritize keeping your vibration high, as you've been saying, so that you can have a sense of humor and make better choices, I think that it's only in that space of observation, or that space of distance, that we actually do find that beautiful freedom called choice.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I think that is, and I really love what you just said too, Tina, about there really isn't any winning or losing, because it's all the same thing. You can win today and lose tomorrow, like as you said. So like really get that.
Yeah.
And understand that when we're in that space of flow with life,
mm-hmm.
the best way that we can do it is to have that relationship to self be as clean as possible.
And also, give yourself space, like sit down, close your eyes, and really ask yourself, what does mean, what do I really want from life? What gives me like the feeling of winning the game of life? Like really listen to yourself. People are not listening to themselves anymore. They just, like, for example, the clients come to you or come to me, right? Completely stressed out, anxious, because they can't find the job they so badly want, those that they can finally make enough money to live in this big apartment, right? And then I just look at them and said, well, why do you want this job so badly? Why do you want this house so badly? And what do you expect is going to happen to you once you have this house? Do you think then you will be happy? Or then you will want to have the car? Then you need the next job that pays even more. It's like, and then people often sit back and they said, well, honestly, I don't even need that much money. And, it's like people are so bombarded with these wrong ideas, right? And there is no time, because if you work all day and then you come home and you go into your routine and you have to feed your family and you have to go and clean and then you have to do this, and you don't have even time to ask yourself, what do I really want? To feel like a winner in this human experience, right? So this is why it is so important, and this is the strategy. Sit down, nothing, the human mind likes complicated. The human mind likes complicated explanations. I don't understand, because why should you make life more complicated than it already is? So the most simple strategy is sit down every single day. Sit down, close your eyes, look inside, just listen. It's like let your thoughts go by, like if you were looking at a highway. Cars are driving by, but you don't jump into the car, okay? You just let them go by, and you watch. That's it. And then you will find out slowly what keeps coming back, what is holding you back, what is, what you really want. And you connect with yourself, right? Not with the external world and how they think, you should function. And this is how you tap into your innate wisdom and your innate intelligence. And once you do that, then you feel empowered, because you're doing what you really want, not what someone else tells you. This is when you feel empowered. And once you feel empowered, everything you want in life, you will attract it, because this is the energy how do you say this? You give out, you send out.
Yep.
That's what you will attract, right? Once you are centered, once you know who you are, what you really want, you believe in yourself, then everything you really want is coming to you automatically. It happens. That's a strategy.
Yeah. So grounding that for our listeners, what would you suggest? Like, so you've been a meditator for a very, very long time. So for somebody who's a newbie and coming in, or, because what I'm hearing, really your number one piece here is like, go back in and remember who you are. And one great vehicle or tool to do that is through meditation. So do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Mm-hmm. Well, the biggest misunderstanding is that people think that meditation is something you can do. All right. So you're not a human doing, you're a human being. right? And meditation reminds you of that, because most of the time of your life you spend as a human doing. You always think you have to do something. And while you're doing something, you feel so tired and your only wish is to lie down. And then you come to yoga class, and as soon as I tell you to lie down, you can't lie still because you always think you have to do something, right? So meditation is simply being, right? Learning and remembering to simply be. And you don't need a technique. You don't need to do anything. You just need to sit down, and you can sit on the floor cross-legged, but you can simply sit on a chair. One thing that's important, that's a technical thing, is like to keep your spine straight, right? Because that is about energy that you want to raise up. You know, that's a whole different explanation. But that's, you just want to sit straight, relax your face, and keep your attention on this point, right? It's called the third eye. So imagine you have two eyes, right? And with these two eyes, those are made for the world of duality, right? Where there's winning and losing, birth and death, day and night, good and bad, like and dislike. That's the two eyes, right? But you want to know what's beyond that. You want to know who you truly are. So you need only one eye. And this is your third eye. And with this one, you look inside to see that which is not subject to duality, that which is simply balance and bliss and peace and love, or however you want to call that, right? So you concentrate on this point. And you just observe the chatter of your mind, but you do not get involved, okay? You do not start a dialogue with your mind. So there's, for example, I'll sit down, right? I close my eyes. All right, now my first thought comes up. Oh my God, what am I doing here? I should be washing the dishes. I should go shopping. All right. Well, I just look at this. Because I don't enter into a dialogue saying, right, you're right. You haven't done the dishes yet. Oh no, let's go shopping later, blah, blah, blah. No. You just like the cars driving by, right? You don't jump into the car. And that's it. That's the practice. That's the practice. You just observe. Just make sure you don't get hooked to a thought. Just make sure you don't jump into the car. Just make sure you don't enter into a dialogue. You don't answer to your mind. You just let everything flow. Like, see, when you're breathing, it functions automatically, right? Breath goes in, breath goes out. That's natural, right? You don't try to control it. And the same way, allow this natural flow to happen in your mind, right? Instead of always like blocking a thought, staying with the thought, nurturing this thought, getting into a dialogue, make it so big that it becomes like an obstacle and your head is like, feels like this. Just let it flow, like you allow your breath to flow. Does that make sense?
Yeah. The no judgment. Like, I just think like there's this place of like, I think especially when people first begin to sit, it's like, I'm not doing it right. I'm jumping in the car. You know, I've gone on, you know, I've spent the whole time jumping in the car. And I think, yeah, that's what I would say. It's like and so for a beginner person, 20 minutes might be too much.
Not too much. Yeah.
So maybe 10 or 5. What do you suggest?
I would start with 1. Sit 1 minute with yourself, you know. I mean, it's not easy if you've never done it, right? And if you're usually, you know, all your attention usually goes outwards, right? So when you all of a sudden sit with yourself, that can get really ugly, because you might notice things that you really don't like about yourself, right? And you notice that, you know, you can't stand yourself. So that can get really ugly, you know, so get ready. You know, it's like looking into a mirror, but you want to clean up, right? You want to remove all the stuff that, you know, that doesn't allow you to live a joyful life and to win the game of life, right? So you have to look at it like courageously. It needs courage to meditate, right? Yeah. It needs courage to look at yourself. So you just sit for 1 minute, and then if you want, you sit for 2 minutes, but, you know, keep your goal really small, because then you have a feeling of success. You know, if you manage to stay 2 minutes instead of 1, wow, you already feel like you won something, right? And don't think that you have to do something, and never expect that your mind will stop thinking. This is impossible, because that's your mind's job to think. It's only, you know, your choice. You jump in the car or you don't jump in the car. You just let them drive by, right? And if you continue to let the cars drive by, they will slow down, and the space between one car and the next car will get bigger. And that's where you find your answers, right? But Sometimes you just want to jump in every car, and that's okay. You know, there's no competition in meditation. There's nothing you're going to lose or you're going to win. Just sit, you know, and look at it as an act of self-care. You're just sitting 5 minutes with yourself. And, you know, meditation, it's not something that you can do. Meditation maybe happens, right? Meditation is like falling asleep. You can't actually meditate. What you're doing is you sit and you prepare your mind. You want to calm your mind down and you want to observe. But what this is actually is like preparing yourself for going to bed. It's like, you know, putting on your pajamas, putting on your cream, and then eventually you fall asleep. But you don't actively can do this, right? You can't make yourself fall asleep. And this is the same thing with meditation. So you can sit and observe and do also meditation techniques and breathing, whatever you want. But meditation, it happens with the grace of God. It happens when you are ready. It's not something you can actually do, right? And when it happens, then you understand. Then it's something you can't describe in words. It's an experience. But don't wait for it to happen, you know, because it might not happen in this lifetime. Maybe it happens in the next lifetime. But it doesn't matter. What you want to do is just sit down and observe the cars, the thoughts that are driving by. And don't worry, don't stress yourself and don't judge yourself. You don't laugh about it. It's really nothing you have to win or something. Nobody's chasing you.
Yeah, it's so true. Oh, my goodness. Well, I want to just thank you. This has been amazing. It's great. I love that we began by talking sort of about, you know, that your brilliant description of winning, of really being in balance with that, our brains, and, you know, being able to start to see that, you know, when we have control over our reactions and our experiences that are happening to us and for us, FYI, you know, like that life is going to go up and down, but it's how we, you know, in a sense, what I would say, it's how you're describing is how we play the game is what matters most. And, you know, using that tool or strategy of meditation to really start to see is an act. You mentioned it, self-care, and I think that is so true. So I just thank you, Tina, for such incredible wisdom today. And
thank you.
Yeah.
If people are more interested, you know, I recently wrote a book and I'm really proud of it. So I have to show it.
Yes.
It's called Yoga Coaching. And it's not for, it shows the yoga asanas, right? But you don't have to do them. It's more a book of inner reflection. And it's really explained very, very simple how your mind works. Because once you know how your mind works, right, then it's easier to understand. You know, if you understand how the traffic up there works, it's easier to, you know, to guide it, to, you know, to. So it's very simply explained. There is the explanation what meditation is. And if someone is a yoga practitioner, you know, there is an explanation for each asana, but I'm not talking about physical explanations. It's all like, you know, how you use your body to win your mind and how you use your body to, you know, like to create the emotions you want and to let go of something. All this stuff that, you know, that holds you back from winning. So maybe somebody's interested.
Oh, sure. So yeah, it's say again the name. It's the
yoga coaching.
Yoga to coaching. Okay, great.
Yes.
So
yes.
I'm sure everybody can find that. So
on the website.
Thank you so much. And it's been great.
Thank you so much. Nice to meet you. Good luck to everyone. You're all winners.
Thank you.